Yeah, we are going live. And yes, we are live. Over to you, Srilata ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Fanindra. Good evening to all the participants. Welcome to the sixth session of our Change Makers Winter Camp webinar series. I am Srilata, Certified Happiness Coach, Professional Mediator, and Organizational Development Consultant with 30 years of experience both in academics and corporate world. I am your host for the day, and I have my co-host, Mr. Harish. Over to you, Harish.
Thank you, Shriratama. Hi, everyone. I am Harish Aravindan. I am a student of Class 8, Delhi Public School, Bangalore South. I was given the opportunity to make two projects, that is, hand gesture recognizer and water quality sensor. I was a winner of the science exhibition conducted by the Atal Lab in 2022. I would like to thank the organizing team for making me the student mentor. Over to you, Shrilatama.
Thank you, Harish. Earlier session on innovation, inventions and ideas by Mr. Rajshekhar Vasa was quite educative and forced all of us to switch on our innovation button, right? Okay. Now we have with us Mr. Rakesh CR to discuss about disaster management. It is my pleasure, sir, to invite you to our winter camp webinar series. Mr. Harish will help us in knowing more about Mr. Rakesh now. Over to you, Harish.
Thank you, Shrilatama. Mr. Rakesh is a founder and the director of Virant India Services. He is also founder and trustee, secretary, Vikasa Darshana. He worked for various organizations like Radiant Info Systems, Vodafone, Acture, and his HSBC in key positions. His expertise lies in strategic planning, sales, and AMP, marketing, customer or client relationship management, risk emergency, and disaster management. Mr. Rakesh is an ex-officer in Commanding Rescue Service, Bangalore, Karnataka Civil Defense, corporate member, National Road Safety Organization. He had 19 years of experience and 13 years parallel experience in the field of emergency and disaster management. He is an active and a proud civil defense warden who joined the civil defense in 2010. As a member of civil defense, he has actively involved himself in emergency management activities and act as the first responder to disasters. He has actively participated in many fire calls, rescue calls, flood rescue operations, bomb blast duty, elections, bandobast duties, corona duties, and training and seminars. He is a recipient of many awards like prestigious Karnataka Chief Minister's Gold Medal for rendering yeoman services to the society. Civil Defense, Bangalore, year 2016. The prestigious Nada Prabhu Kempegowda Award for the rendering selfless services to the society in the field of social service, year 2020. Nominated for the President of Indian Award, recipient of Social Impact Award, and recipient of Go Green Earth Award. Mr. Rakesh is the seasonal professional with a vision and a motto of serving the nation. Over to you, Srilata ma'am.
Thank you, Harish. Dear participants, if you have any questions, please mention in the chat box. Rakesh sir will answer towards the end of the session, right? Hope all of you have your notepad and pen to jot down the points, okay? Few points about the attendance. Attendance link will be shared on the Zoom and YouTube chat box, and the form will be open only during the session. Attendance should be marked only once for each session, though the link will be shared 3 to 4 times for the convenience of the participants, right? Okay. And this is a fire chat session. So it is question answer session, right? Yeah. So I request Rakesh sir to help us in understanding about disaster management. So before I go to him, I think all participants, you might have known in the month of November, we witnessed a great disaster happen, and also we've seen how well in India it is managed. Because you're all on mute mode, I will only tell the answer also. Okay, that is an under construction tunnel collapsed in Uttarakand's Uttarkashi district during last month, which trapped a total of 41 workers inside the structure for 400 hours, 17 days. And we successfully rescued them. I think we managed the disaster that well. Okay. And this week we are witnessing extremely heavy rainfall in the southern districts of Tamil Nadu, particularly Tirunelveli and Thoothukudi. Yeah. So many families are displaced, and what havoc it created, the lives of so many got disturbed. I'm giving you these live examples to understand the importance of disaster management. All right? Yeah. Now here we go. Rakesh sir, can you explain us what is disaster management? And also, could you list a few commonly faced disasters in different parts of the country, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Now, as you all know, that disaster is an event that occurs in most cases suddenly and unexpectedly. Now, this causes severe disturbances to people, objects, environment, and this results in huge loss of life, property, and health of the population. Now, this is the definition of the disaster. Now, when we say disaster management, it is primarily a process of effectively preparing for responding disasters. Now, during the time of disaster, how do we strategically plan and respond to that is nothing but disaster management. Now, when we talk about major disasters, or you are trying to understand what were the major disasters that we come across in our country, as you all know that we are geographically also quite a big country. So what disasters we come across in north is very different from that we see in the south. For example, earthquake, more about forest fire. These things are quite floods. These are more common in northern part of the country. South, especially the coastal region, east coast or west coast, is more prone for tsunami, flood, more about major rainfalls. So this sort of difference is always there when it comes to geography. So majorly in our country, we have come across earthquakes, fire, flood. These three are major disasters that we see commonly across the country.
So what are the existing technologies that are used for disaster management today? And what is the gap, sir, between desired and actual available solutions in the present society?
See, what exactly happens is when we refer to disaster management and technologies, most of the instances when the latest technology is designed, software, machines, tools, equipments that we take during the time of rescue services is primarily designed at that point of time. Now, what is the challenge that you actually face is, for example, during the time of Corona, which was a major disaster across the globe. So nobody knows when you come across or encounter a latest disaster which nobody is ever aware of. So that is the actual challenge. So now something is prepared for Corona, some sort of vaccines and so on. Now imagine in future there is some other virus, you will not be prepared for it if we never have come across it. So the prime challenge during a disaster is if it's a repeated disaster or repeated emergency situation, at least people know what to do, what not to do based on previous experience, based on research and development. But when it's a new encounter altogether, you will not know whatever the latest technology you have. You will not know what to do because the disaster itself has occurred for the first time ever. So that is a major challenge between actual and the desired result.
Sir, when we talk about managing disasters, what are the different agencies that are normally involved, sir? And what roles do they typically play, sir?
See, when we talk about managing disasters, primarily you come across major agencies at national level and state level, especially the government agencies. agencies, something like we have NDRF, which is National Disaster Response Force. Then we have NDMA, which is National Disaster Management Authority. Usually these are all the disaster management agencies which come across Ministry of Home Affairs, and they are the one who actually handle this. And at state level, we always have the local fire and emergency units, local police units, medical units, and also SDRF, which is nothing but State Disaster Response Force. In a very rare scenario, agencies like military, armed forces are also taken.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, from our experience of last few decades, what are some disasters that the public have no training in dealing with, sir? And how it can be improved, sir, today using technology solutions?
See, for example, in Bangalore, I remember more than a decade ago, there was a major, fire that broke down in one of the buildings called Carlton Towers in Old Airport Road.
Okay.
I was present at that time. Now, there is a situation, it's a multi-storied building. People are standing upstairs, say 4th floor, 5th floor. They don't have ladders, they don't have sensors, they don't have alarm systems in place. And the challenge that generally the public face is during disaster and emergency, people panic. When people panic, they don't know what to do. Imagine you have a fire extinguisher, but they don't know how to use. There is a ladder, but nobody got the idea that you can bring down people using ladder. They're holding bed sheets downstairs and asking people to jump. Imagine person is jumping from 4th floor and is coming down to ground floor. He'll end up either dying or his hands or legs are broken down. So lack of awareness is the prime challenge that people face during disasters. One is lack of knowledge. Second, the panicking situation, and when they are panicked, brains don't work.
Yes, sir. Very true, very true. Yeah. Is there any training provided, sir, then? You think any government agencies provide training, sir, for such things as of now, sir?
Yes, actually, there are certain voluntary organizations that are run by the government. See, the regular organizations like fire department is there, NDRF, SDRF, police, medical, and so on. But as far as the voluntary services, something like civil defense, home guards, all these organizations are there, where people have to learn more about these organizations, go enroll, go join, so that they'll get authentic training directly from the government agencies. Apart from this, most of the corporate companies, schools, colleges, and NGOs are also running this mock drill, fire drill, emergency drill, in various apartments also, so that people are at least aware basic what to do when there is an emergency or a disaster.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, what roles do you think technologies, apps, or products can play, sir, in helping with disaster management? Something that can be deployed immediately without huge investments in new infrastructure, sir?
See, there is something called as MED technique. This one of the very senior officer actually have taught me long time back when I was in one of the trainings. Now, what we were trying to understand is when there is any situation, how you will come, how you will encounter that, how you will bring it under control. M is nothing but men. E is nothing but equipment. D is nothing but dogs, dog squad,
Dogs. Okay.
trained dogs, which they use for search and rescue operations. You would have seen the
Okay.
police people
Yes,
taking
sir.
dogs
Yes,
along.
sir. Yes, sir.
So this MED technique is nothing but men, equipment, and dogs.
Men, dogs.
Dogs. It's a very unique method. See, not everybody human beings can track. Not everything dogs can track. Not everything equipments can track. See, there is a situation where you have technology, but you'll not have access to go to that place.
Yes, sir.
There is imagine there's a small tunnel. A person will not fit into that. There you have to send some sensors, buzzers, alarming systems to get some latest information what is happening inside that tunnel. So it differs from situation to situation. But technology definitely has helped, especially with latest sensors coming in picture, latest cameras are there. So these are all things that can always be used during the time of disasters and emergency situations.
Thank you, sir. How awareness can be spread, sir, using technological solutions?
See, what I feel is a very basic thing. Now, suppose most of them are staying in apartments in cities. Now there is a fire extinguisher in school, college, companies and their houses, but they don't know how to use. So when there is lack of awareness, not everything you can conduct, offline trainings. Now post COVID, at least everybody are used to this, online teachings and coachings. So I suggest people to read books about major disaster incidents, emergencies, how to use first aid kits, what to do during disasters. There are many lot of YouTube channels, YouTube videos available, content is available in internet. People can at least get the basic information like what to do during what time. So available product is always there offline, but online is where people spend most of time during travel. They can always use their mobile and browse these kind of things which will help them during a disaster. So here is where the technology comes in picture when we talk about online and so on.
Very right, sir. So what roles do you think, no, sir, what kind of kit helps the family, sir, to survive during disaster? Is it different for different disasters, sir?
See, yes, definitely. See, for example, now you have fire extinguisher, but it will not be useful when there is a flood. They'll be have wood cutters. So what I suggest is like a small kit can be traveled. Say, for example, somebody is going to some resort, family is traveling somewhere, like how we carry puncture kits in the car, like that, they can always have basic life-saving jacket. If they're going towards water areas, then probably they can carry some life-saving jackets with them, tires,
Yes,
tubes,
sir.
like, the air pumps for water areas. When we talk about, other general places when they're traveling, probably they can carry a small fire extinguisher along with them. Suddenly something catches fire, they'll always, have technology and equipments ready with them. They can have a first aid kit when people are traveling. You can have cutting pliers, screwdrivers. These are small
Yes.
tools that becomes very handy during time of an
Yes,
emergency.
sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Sir, when you're on the ground managing the team during disasters, what are the three things, sir, you always have a shortage of?
See, when we say shortage of, uh, you'll always have a limited access when we are traveling. Say, for example, in 2018, I was there in Madikeri for the flood rescue. I was there almost for 1 week. Now, there is a situation, I mean, there's a real situation I'm telling. There are helicopters that have come to rescue people. 24 hours it is raining. So when it is raining, where will the helicopter land or take off or take people? So you have machines, you have technologies, but even the nature has to support. This is one problem. Now you will carry a boat with you. Imagine there are like 70, 80 people stuck and the capacity of your boat is like 20 seats or 25 seats. So this is again a challenge. So during a disaster and the third point is like, in terms of how many people accompany you during the time of rescue services. Sometimes it's a very small thing, but the panic will be created so much that 10, 20, 30 people, rescuers will go for rescue. But actually it'll be a very small thing at that minute. And there is a reverse situation also. We will think, it is a very small, we go there, but actually it's a very huge fire, huge, disaster that has occurred, and you need more men or, more equipment. So it's a very difficult, thing to come across. And I feel that, on standard procedure is always there that we follow. That applies to any sort of an emergency or disaster.
Well, if I were to put together a kit that will help families deal with floods, what would be in that kit, sir?
Especially for floods, is it?
Floods.
See, as you say, off late in major, towns or cities, even the urban flooding has increased during the time of rainy season. See, probably like, they can have 2, 3 life-saving jackets. Because in a family, you can see maximum like 5 people, 4 people, if it's a small
3 or
micro
4?
family. Yeah, until unless it's like, joint family of 30, 40, 50 people. If it's a very small micro family, then at least 3 or 4 life-saving jackets. When we go for boating, you would have seen they wear the jackets with clips. 3 or 4 they can purchase. They can always have like, a pressure pump that we use for, filling up tire and tubes through air. these things, 2 or 3 tubes they can keep with them. At least nobody will, drown when the water level increases. And very important thing that will help, most of the times, there is no power supply. So phones won't work, TVs won't work, nothing works. I still remember there was some earthquake where everybody was stuck underneath. Somebody found a whistle and they were blowing whistle. Through that sound, they got to know that okay, somebody is stuck over there. Some sound is coming from that corner. So this helped the rescuers to reach the place. So some other thing that is available, they can
Wonderful.
always make use of.
Yes, sir. So I was just asking about floods, right, sir? So can we have such similar kits, sir, for each type of disaster? Would that help, sir?
See, definitely. I mean, see, common things that people encounter is waterlogging, be it city, villages, town, anywhere. Anytime there can be a small flood. Even in cities, like underground water can come out. Tanks might blast. Sumps might start leaking. Overhead tanks can again water overflow and come into the building. So either for flood or for fire situation, at least basic 2 3 life saving jackets and a small fire extinguisher, a very small one, at least to put it off at that minute, and they at least can come out through the exit doors. So these small things which are portable, just because we mentioned fire extinguisher, they'll keep huge ones. It's very difficult to carry those things. So it has to be a portable device which they can carry along with them while traveling or at home.
Yes, sir. So what are the things that we take for granted that are not there during disasters? For example, instruction booklets on your phone or even worse on the internet. They are not accessible during floods. Could you list out a few more, please, sir?
See, what I feel is this is not something that we encounter every day. When somebody is encountering the situation every day, they will at least have that kit in their mind or tip of their tongue. Okay, I'm traveling with the family. What all I have to carry? Basic medicines, first aid kit, a life-saving jacket, a hammer, a cutting plier, a whistle, torch, basic medicines, dry foods like biscuits, bread. Again, when they're traveling, probably like of course with family when they're traveling, they'll have their clothes and other things. But as far as rescue is concerned, we always have like 2 3 pairs of dress. So what happens is when they're encountering it on daily basis, they'll have the list ready made in their mind or in their thought process. Since most of them are not encountered it on real life scenario, what I feel is they have to start reading or understanding more about disaster management, because it is not just a subject. It can happen to anybody at any time. Traveling in car and suddenly it catches fire. Okay, something is there. What to do during fire? So these things will always help. So little bit of knowledge. With knowledge, they will get confidence. When they have confidence, they will not panic.
Yes.
When they are not panicking, that means their brains work. When brains are working, they'll come out with some unique ideas,
Solution.
which applies to me also. So
Yeah.
here it is a situation where it's not that we know everything. In that moment,
Yes,
it's
sir.
human tendency to forget things. So more
Yes,
of
sir.
research, more of knowledge, will help us during the emergencies.
So, yes, sir. Sir, if I'm a student looking for more help and advice to address challenges faced, in whom can I approach for more information, sir?
See, as agencies, as I mentioned, there are a lot of government agencies like NDMA is there, NDRF is there, SDRF is there. They can also start browsing in the fire and emergency websites, authentic government websites, just to understand about them, what they do, who are the officers heading over there, what are the major projects or what are the major disaster situations they came across. This is one part, browsing the websites and approaching the right agencies. Second thing, what they can also do is, as I was mentioning earlier, there are a lot of material available in the form of PPTs, in the form of presentations, and also in the form of videos, where they can during free time spend like half an hour, 1 hour, just to understand okay, what is fire, types of fire extinguishers. Now, when fire catches in the petrol pump, you can't pour water over there; it has to be a sand. or a chemical powder. When fire catches through wood, there you can't add water. So like this, there are a lot of combinations. So more and more, they start researching using the internet. You'll get a lot of information, and it's a very vast subject. Only to know about fire only, it's a subject. Then comes, flood, then
Flood.
land, then earthquake. Then again,
Earthquake.
major thing is, in disasters. For example, in countries like New Zealand, Japan, they've always encountered Australia. They've always encountered forest fire, volcanoes. This is something not new to our country. I don't remember a volcano in India at least. So it is more about region specific also. No, there's no point in we sitting in India and learning what to do during volcano. It's as of now, at least nothing has happened like that here. So what occurs in the place where we stay, more research can be done, so that at least we'll have little bit knowledge during that time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, what are your recommendations on do's and don'ts when students pick up projects in disaster management, sir?
See, my suggestion as far as do's are concerned is, approach a right mentor first thing. Second thing is, do a lot of research, start getting case studies. Now, okay, there was a major earthquake in Gujarat. Now, what they can do is, at least students, causes is one part. During disaster, what happened is one part. Most of them stop over there. But what happened post disaster? For example, in Kedarnath and Badrinath, during floods, you have to see both before and after scenario. Before a flood, how the entire village was. In the 24 hours of flood, how the entire Kedarnath was washed out, and how many months or years they took to restore it back to normal situation. So this is my humble request and suggestion to students is when they do research on these kind of disasters or emergencies or working on case studies, let them analyze both before and after scenario. Okay, there was a major flood, there was a 1 week rescue, so many people died, so many people were rescued, so many agencies were involved. Very good. But after that, what happened? In how many days they recovered? In how many days the city came back to normal life? So that recovery thing also, if they focus, they will get an idea like what to do during a disaster and how to overcome that. And
Okay.
post disaster, another thing that very important is, they can also, students can also get in touch with some of the psychiatrists, because this dealing with patients' mental ability becomes very important. Just imagine a situation where there is a major fire or a flood, somebody is stuck over there with a broken arm or a broken leg, and there are the relatives or near and dear ones sitting and crying. It is very easy for somebody to tell, don't worry, they'll be taken care. But also we need to understand what is running in their mind. A lot of counseling is required. So psychology is another subject where they can focus on, because it is directly or indirectly linked to the disaster management.
Thank you so much, sir. I have myself taken some takeaways from yours. Is number one is awareness. See, whenever we are going somewhere, I think we need to also search, not only pack our things, but also to get ready to face some kind of connected disaster. Second is this awareness leads to confidence, which will not allow you maybe to get panic. Because as you said, panic is the first and foremost thing where you lose yourself off, coming up with a solution. And I think as everything is available on the internet, little research, what is happening around, say Tamil Nadu floods, it can occur here. So how can I rescue myself and my people around? Maybe that is what I learned, I felt today. Okay, sir, we will take a few questions from the students, but now I became myself a student now, okay? I want to, sir, 1 second, sir, I want to ask you a question, sir. When we come
Yes.
across some emergency situations, sir, how do we figure out whom to call first, sir?
See, at least earlier days there was no toll-free number available or something like that. But now at least government has come out with 112.
Okay, 112. Okay.
112 is a number for a national toll-free number for any sort of a disaster. Where when you call 112, you can directly get access to the police force, fire force, ambulance force. See, it is nothing but you just imagine. Let me just give an elaborate answer to this so that it will help others too. Just imagine there is a building in front of you which caught fire.
Okay.
At that point of time, who all are involved? Obviously, local police to maintain the public, traffic police to control the traffic so that congestion of traffic wouldn't happen in that area. Third, ambulance service to check if there are any casualties and take them for further medical treatment. Fourth, fire brigade to put off the fire. Now imagine you have a toll-free number or an app or an application or a phone number which gives access to all of these. So this disaster toll-free is this 112. You call that, you're always available for the disaster management services. This is one thing. Again, somebody didn't flash about 112. Always they can do is, in Google, just search for the nearest fire station, call them, nearest police station, call them. Some other rescue or emergency agencies will always be available for the service.
Okay. So we'll take some questions from the students, sir. Harish, can you please share the questions, ma, that students asked along with their name? Harish, can you unmute yourself, ma?
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, now yes, ma.
Yeah. Sir, I have a few questions to ask. So, one second. Sir, so the first question is, most probably they are not used as it could be difficult for the human beings to recognize their behaviors.
No, I think human beings to recognize the behaviors of whom?
Sir, during disasters, it's difficult for them to find the techniques to rescue themselves. That is a
See,
question.
now rescue themselves, the technique where you will get is only when you have the knowledge. Now, for example, when there are professional rescue operators who come from the fire force or the police force or agencies which are related to emergency disaster management, they're all trained professional. So they know what to do during what time. As a normal public, they panic. Imagine suddenly a building falls down, they'll not know what to do. So here awareness is very important. So my suggestion is during free time, you have to go through a lot of information that is available on the internet. For a building fall, what to do? If somebody drowns in swimming pool, what to do? There's a flood, what to do? Basic. Some fire has caught in a building, what to do? When you have that knowledge and that basic awareness, at least they won't panic. When they are not panicking, that means you can come with some ideas to rescue yourself and also bring along with you somebody else safely outside. And it's not just about rescuing others. First, we have to be safe during a disaster. Along with us, we have to ensure men, material, birds, animals are also taken care.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, if a disaster is to occur, what should be our basic measures to be taken against any disaster?
See, when we talk about basic measures, there are various cycles of disaster management. Something like prevention, mitigation, training, preparedness, awareness, and so on. And disaster is of two types. One is natural and one is man-made disaster. Now, man-made disaster is something like, bomb blast, something like, accidents, somebody is attacking anybody, terror activities. So these are all man-made disasters. But whereas natural disaster is not in our control, fire, flood, tsunami, earthquake. So these are the situations which is not in our control. Preventive measures will be taken by the government agencies. And as individuals and as public, we should have little bit knowledge about that so that they won't panic and they can stay safe during the time of a disaster.
Sir, the next question is, sir, Corona is a disaster or not?
Definitely it is a disaster. It's a global disaster. Because of corona, people suffered, they lost their lives. See, when we talk about emergency situation, it is not just about losing of life. It can be physical damage, mental damage, loss of life, loss of economy, loss of jobs, loss of near and dear ones. So it's a total loss. Many of them lost their lives, many of them lost their jobs, many of them are still suffering. So it's a crisis situation. When there is a crisis situation occurred suddenly or triggered occurredly, that is what is called as a disaster.
The next question is, can technology be used to increase the spread of awareness?
Definitely, in today's world, not every trainings can be done in a classroom manner. Now, if you see during the time of COVID, schools were running starting from LKG till the PhD level. Entire colleges, schools, everything were online. Technology was definitely useful. Employees were working in companies using online, work from home, study from home. So definitely technology has a role to play. But probably when there is a disaster occurred, there has to be a disaster or an emergency a unit or an agency present physically. Now, just because we are, say for example, during time of COVID, there is a building that caught fire. Quarantine is there, people can't come out. But who can come out? First responders, emergency and disaster management, employees, staff, people who are involved in that subject. That is why they were giving the passes, movement passes, to people who come out as frontline workers. So they had an access to go out for an emergency work or a disaster work.
Sir, I have a last question. Can technology be used to develop buildings and infrastructure that can withstand earthquakes?
Certainly, there is a large, large prospect for that. And we recently came across, there are some latest innovative ideas implemented by the architects and civil engineers, where they're designing buildings in such a fashion that, technology can be used effectively to prevent disasters to a maximum extent.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Now I hand
Yes.
over it to Srilata ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sir. Uddhav Krishna is raising his hand. Can we go with him, sir?
Please, yes.
Panindra, sir. Panindra,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm just
Uddhav
finding him
Krishna,
out.
will you please, sir?
Krishna.
Yeah.
Uh, can you please unmute yourself, Krishna?
Uddhav Krishna, can you please unmute, ma'am?
Krishna, you can speak now. He left this session.
So this is Tilotma. While we are waiting for him to come back, quick question. You were saying that we need to learn about how to deal with different disasters, like in advance. Is there an option maybe for some kind of apps to be designed which are like games? Basically, make it into a game where you encounter different situations and you need to figure out how to deal with it. Would that be something that could be designed for this?
Oh, definitely, yes. See, what happens is, of late, technology is, growing rampantly. What I would, suggest is maybe they can come out with short videos. So nobody sits and, watches videos for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, until unless it is very interesting. So based on their age bracket, probably short videos can be made which are more informative, so that it's always easier to gain knowledge through these videos and apps, and easily shareable also. So it's not just we are using that, we can also share it to others so that even they can gain some knowledge which is life saving. Emergency disaster management is directly linked to our lives. Anytime anything can happen. So more knowledge we acquire, at least we will know how to safeguard ourselves and save others during a disaster.
So he's saying he can't on his thing. So can I ask Niveta Shri? Niveta Shri. Yeah. Can you unmute Niveta Shri and ask the question, ma?
I think Anindya has to unmute.
Yeah, she is unmuted now.
Niveta Shri, you can ask, ma.
I can't hear.
She is unmuted. She is not speaking.
Yeah, she's coming. Yeah, yeah.
Niveta, you can speak now. Okay, we have Advik. Advik. Yes.
Sir, want to ask that one time I was doing a quiz. Sir, I come across the questions that vaccines are made of the germs of the virus against which the vaccine is made. So, sir, is it true or false? I want to know, sir.
See, when it comes to making of virus, like I mean the vaccines, definitely a lot of doctors, research and developing agencies have put in there like a lot of medical efforts behind that. So it is more about a medical uh, R&D related question. So I'm definitely not a medical expert to confirm to whether it is made out of virus itself. But somewhere even I heard one of the person who is an expert in snake, wildlife, and animal rescuer, who used to tell me like the vaccine or anti venom medicine is always prepared from the venom taken out of the snake itself. So probably what your question might be true as well. And I think some qualified doctor only will be able to confirm you that, but looks close to a possibility also.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, who is that? Midul Thakur? Midul Thakur? Unmute ma and ask the question.
Yeah, ma'am,
Yeah,
I
please.
have a doubt that, ma'am, I am Ridul Thakur. Ma'am, I have a doubt that, for example, there are nuclear disasters like the Chernobyl disasters. So, what are the measures that can be taken during that situation?
See, if you actually, it's a very good question. If you actually come across a situation, this nuclear attacks happened long time back, decades ago. Even today, like places like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, people are suffering in Japan. So at an international level, like organizations like United Nations, UNO, and other organizations have raised a strong voice and come out with international policies. In today's world, anytime anything can happen. But then again, to go on a war against some other country and straight away shoot a nuclear bomb is not that easy. So there are a lot of diplomatic policies, government agencies, government officials involved. So simply they just cannot go and attack somebody that easily, at least in a nuclear level. A lot of international policies placed. So in that way, I feel that though we know it is a risky situation, nobody will take a chance, at least in today's world.
Harish,
Sir,
I'm
I
seeing
have
few questions in the chat box. Yeah, sorry, ma. Who's that?
Harish.
sir,
only.
Harish. Sir, I have a few questions.
Yes, please.
Sir, how can we control the flood disaster?
See, when we talk about controlling the flood, see, as I was earlier telling, like, man-made disaster is always in the hand of man. For example, terrorist attack, bomb blast. See, these are all somebody who's doing it deliberately with intention. But when it comes to natural disasters, earthquake, how can we stop earthquake or a volcano? But in this kind of situation, then thinking about how we can stop a natural disaster because it occurs naturally. Maybe at such situation, what we can more do is based on the previous experiences and effects that these kind of floods created in the society, we can come out with some sort of an alarming system, sensor system, where put some sensors or alarms where it senses or triggers that something major flood is happening. Because as this what we call it as this geographical survey and other things, you will get to know the monsoon alarm system and all are already there in place. You will get to know when there is a rainfall, during which part it is going to be heavy rainfall and so on. So in such situation, people have to evacuate from that place, at least to safeguard the lives. And preventive measures can always be taken, but totally preventable, no, because it's a natural disaster and it's not in our control. But measures can always be taken, like what we can do when it happens. That definitely we can focus more on that.
Yes, sir. I have another question. Sir, when fire takes place, fire takes place in forest, what should we do, sir? What are the preventive measures?
See, fire takes place in forest.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now recently, few years back, forest fire occurred in Australia. In fact, it just started off in one place. It spread to hectares, kilometers to, kilometers of dimension was covered, which, created in huge panic situation, smoke, fire, especially in forest area, you find more about animals living than human beings. So there is a lot of, damage that occurred to the life of animals, birds, insects living in forest area. In this situation, how we can control? See, forest fire actually happens like that, especially during summer, because of the dry grass, dry wood, when trees are already dried and fallen down because of overheat. That friction occurs and it catches fire, and it is spread hectares together, kilometers together of land. So evacuating for a huge land is not that easy. Now, to put out the fire, tens of hundreds of fire extinguishers have to come. You would have also seen in videos where you have fire, fire extinguishers, which is more about a rescue helicopter. They just carry gallons of water and it's dropped, which covers huge area to put off the fire. So putting off of the fire is the first technique, and second thing is ensure the forest borders, whoever is staying there, ensure that public is moved out to a different place so that it will not come to the situation where you're not just rescuing the animals but you also end up rescuing human beings also.
So,
Sir,
Mr. Pavan wants to, sorry, Harish, Pavan wants to speak. I believe he's putting, Pavan Kumar, unmute yourself and ask the question, ma. Yes, Pavan Kumar. Yeah,
Ma'am,
you
my
can ask, ma.
ma'am, my question was, how can we, how can we get corona in most of them are telling we are getting corona from Pakistan, China, but I don't know the preventives. How can we be safe from that?
See, first of all, I would like to tell one thing here, that most of the situations spread through virus. And sometimes you see, even in the news, they'll tell it's a breaking news. News is spreading like virus. My first suggestion to you is, don't go by what people say. Go by what the government says, government agencies says, which is an authorized information. See, there is a difference between some health minister or a chief minister or a prime minister or somebody associated to emergency disaster management, or some doctor, a nodal officer, a government official who is speaking with authentic information. You have to believe them, rely on that sources. Don't believe in rumors that are spread. A lot of rumors are spread in Facebook, WhatsApp, Insta, in Google and so on. First thing is, don't go with rumor information, go with actual information. Second thing is, especially when corona is coming to India, it is not just coming from one direction. If you go back 2 years back, if you try to recollect, when the lockdown was announced, first thing the government did was to seal the international borders. be it through harbors when ship is coming, or be it through international roadways, or be it through flights. Airports were sealed. People are coming to India straight away. They go for a RT-PCR test or a COVID test, and then they have to undergo like 7 days, 15 days quarantine, and then again home quarantine 7 days, and it's a lockdown. So when international borders are sealed, first thing they ensure is at least nobody is traveling abroad and carrying virus along with them. It's not that physically somebody carry it and bring along with them. Without their knowledge, probably they've had food somewhere in some restaurant abroad. They'll be sitting in one place, they would have touched the table, touched the chair, they wouldn't have washed, haven't used sanitizers, haven't used mask. So these are the things, the awareness is more important. So as far as information related to Pakistan, China, it's not that Corona is coming only from one country. Probably it started off somewhere in China is what people say. Based on the research, when you go back, it started off somewhere in China and spread across the world. So that doesn't mean that whenever it happens, it comes only from China. Even that might be wrong, right?
Yes, sir.
So information is important. In that, who is giving information, how authentic the information, that basic research also has to be done. First thing we do is, okay, somebody is sending through WhatsApp, we forward it to 10 people without verifying. So my suggestion is first we have to verify the information, and if it is authentic, then pass it on to others.
Yes, sir,
Arav,
thank you.
Arav is asking questions, sir. Arav, can you unmute, ma? Arav, yeah, you can ask, ma.
Ma'am, sometimes early there is a disaster earthquake in Turkey. How many days is used to recover that disaster?
No, your voice is echoing, kid. Can you please repeat it if you don't mind?
Sir, actually, I say that the sometimes early and disaster earthquake is happening in Turkey. Sir, so how many days is used to recover that disasters?
See, recovery of disaster depends upon the impact. Say, for example, it's a small fire. Some fire extinguisher will come, put off the fire, then it is done. But imagine earthquake. Earthquake is the occurrence is very small. Duration, I'm telling. But the magnitude is very high. Like, say, for example, it just shake like this. In few seconds, building is fallen down. But imagine you have to clean everything, clean the derbies, then again reconstruct the entire building. Imagine the road is cracked, you have to fill it up and again relay the road. Somebody broke his arm, somebody's leg is fractured. So recovery or post-disaster event is depending upon the impact it created. For example, if it is a permanent damage, you can't do anything. For example, in COVID, in somebody's house, there was a death happened. Somebody got COVID, they got admitted in the hospital. He was tested positive. 7 days or 10 days, his bad luck, he expired, he or she. They used the PP kit and they buried. So it's a permanent loss. You can't recover that, no? So the recovery post-disaster depends upon the type of disaster and type of impact it created. So based on that, the recovery process is depending.
So Varshini wants to ask a question. Yogya Varshini, can you unmute yourself, ma? Yeah,
Yes,
please ask the question.
Sir,
You will raise your hand, na?
how can we be aware about the unknown viruses? How can we, what are the measures that we take?
See, at least what I feel is like, until last 2-3 years, most of the viruses or most of the infections or diseases people at least knew. Doctors used to do a lot of R&D research. But COVID is one thing that taught a huge lesson where when you don't know from where it is coming, what is the nature of it, what sort of impact it is going to create, at least people took a lot of time to understand what sanitizer is. what mask is, what gloves is. These were all medical equipments or medical terms which doctors used to use in the ICU or in the operation theater. How many of us were wearing masks except for a dentist or for a doctor who does surgery? How many of them were using gloves? So one COVID actually is an eye opener where imagine today, in case COVID should not come back, but I'm telling in case it comes back, forget what people are telling outside or news or in through government secondary. At least instantly you will be knowing what to do when there is a COVID again repeated. Immediately you'll go on quarantine. You know, immediately you'll know basic food, what to eat, what not to eat, that face mask, that gloves, that sanitizer. So when the situation is already occurred, you will know what to do, what not to do. Because there is a medicine, there is a research, there is a doctor's team who is working on it. So some of the other preventive measures can be taken. But when it is a new virus altogether, when you don't know the nature of virus, you don't know how much impact it is going to happen on life. What medicine to give for virus only nobody knew until the vaccine was invented. So it is very a difficult thing to say, because even though people tell there are still hundreds of viruses that are present, but until you come across that situation, you will not know what is going to be the impact. No, only when you know what is the virus, based on that virus, that suitable available research and development will be done by the medical team, and they'll come out with some sort of a medicine or a treatment or so on. But in general, what doctors usually say is, in this kind of situation, when you suddenly feel that something is not correct with you, something is happening physically, mentally, such point of a time, it's always advisable to take advice of medical doctors who are professionals. They'll do some basic analysis, diagnosis, and if they're able to detect something, definitely suitable medicines will be given for that particular virus.
So this is the last question from Tilottama ma'am, sir. This is
Yes.
the last question, sir. There's 1 more minute left, sir.
Yes.
So one other question was, can you kind of tell us a few examples or instances where you think something like drones could be used in disaster management, maybe in fires or floods, like if you can think of a few places?
See, for example, in the recent thing that happened in Kedarnath, Uttarkashi, sorry, when 41 people were rescued, first thing the technology they were using was also through these cameras and sensors. If not, how you know what was happening inside the tunnel or the cave? So drones definitely are useful. Cameras, technology, sensors definitely are useful. Now, what is happening is, as and as technology is improving day by day, varieties of disasters also are coming in the market, where there will be a situation where never you have encountered in the life, something like COVID. So when the situation is there where nothing is known, it's an unknown disaster, then definitely a lot of new R&Ds have to be placed. But yes, cameras, sensors, drones are definitely useful. Especially for us, it is more useful when people are stuck on the other side of the lake or the river during floods, and you are in a hilly region. You will not know what is on the other side of the hill. Maybe these kind of drones will help us capture the images of people who are present that side, get to know what is happening the other side, how many people are stuck over there, and then they can be rescued and brought back this side. So yes, definitely technology is useful at that time.
Sir, also maybe since you are talking about whistles and basically that attracting attention, so perhaps the drone could also be designed to listen for whistle kind of sounds.
Definitely it is.
Something.
Definitely yes. It is more about sensors. When there is a sound, it's a sensor. When there's an alarm, it's a sensor. For example, water levels. Recently, I came across an article where somebody was giving a suggestion, especially in underpasses in major cities, like water is stuck, and people will not know how depth that water is in an underpass, and cars and autos and bikes are stuck underpass below the flyovers. Maybe they were mentioning, mention a water level, keep a sensor at 1 feet height. As soon as water reaches 1 feet in the underpass, the alarm should trigger and red light should be turned on, so that people won't go in the underpass, because there is water above 1 feet or 2 feet, whatever the figure is.
Oh yeah, great idea.
So definitely these kind of R&Ds have to be done, which is again case-to-case basis and region-specific.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
sir. Ma'am.
Students, dear students, it is 6:30 past 2 minutes also. Though there are a lot of hands you want to ask questions, but time is up, so you have to excuse me. We'll get back to you then, okay? So thank you, Mr. Rakesh, for detailing and clarifying our queries, and that was a great learning about how to manage and cope up with disasters, right? So, dear participants, can I all of you ask to thank sir by posting a thumbs up emoji, please?
See, I would first of all thank you,
Posted.
everybody. Everybody, I would like to thank one for the opportunity, two for patiently listening to this, because it's a very important subject. Anytime anything can happen to anybody. So at that point of time, what we can do, how many lives we can save, that is very important. So in that way, I would like to thank everybody for giving the opportunity and patiently listening, through last 1 hour.
So last 1 second, sir, to the students. Dear participants, hope all of you marked your attendance right. Those who attend the session only will receive the participation certificate, and also it is mandatory to have 100% attendance to qualify for the prizes, right? And the quiz will be shared at the end of this session at 9 p.m. will be posted on the website, right? And it will be open only till tomorrow 4 p.m. All right? Okay. So see you all tomorrow at 4 p.m. again with another quite interesting session. Bye for now. Thanks. I see lot of thumbs ups. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
End of the session.